All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're exploring something that's so much more than just a list of ancient names. We're actually uncovering a practical blueprint for personal growth and social well-being. It's like a guide hidden in plain sight within the attributes of Allah.
And this quote, I think, really sets the perfect tone for our conversation. Think of this less like a lecture and more like an exploration, a journey. Each attribute is like a single thread in this huge, beautiful tapestry. And by understanding them, we start to see a much clearer picture of how to live a more meaningful life.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the big idea, the blueprint itself. Then we're going to zoom in on how this affects you personally. From there, we'll zoom back out to the community level and then see how these ideas can actually connect us all. And of course, we'll wrap up by talking about how you can take that first step yourself. Okay, section 1. The main thing to get here is that these attributes aren't just, abstract ideas for theologians to debate. Not at all. They're meant to be a hands-on, practical guide for how we live and interact with each other every single day. And this is the term at the heart of it all, Asmaul Husna, which means the most beautiful names. As the source material really emphasizes, these are way more than just descriptions. They're meant to be an active inspiration, a real guide for building a better world, and it all starts with ourselves. So let's get personal. How does all of this actually work on an individual level? How does understanding these attributes begin to change your inner world? What's the real impact on you?
Well, for starters, it's a huge boost for your spiritual development. When you really take time to reflect on qualities like mercy and forgiveness, it helps you find a deep sense of inner peace. It's about finding a purpose that really clicks with these higher values, which in turn creates a much stronger connection to the divine.
And this leads to something incredibly practical, resilience. I mean, when you start to trust that there's a greater plan, challenges begin to feel less like random bad luck and more like opportunities to grow. This mindset is what helps build genuine perseverance and a kind of deep-seated optimism to face whatever life decides to throw your way. Okay, so we've seen the individual impact. Now let's zoom out. What happens when an entire community starts to reflect these attributes? Well, you start to weave a much stronger, more connected social fabric.
And this is where things get really powerful. When you have a collective focus on empathy and compassion, it just naturally leads to stronger bonds between people. It gives everyone a shared playbook for sorting out conflicts, not with anger, but with a sense of justice and forgiveness. That's how you build real harmony.
This also brings up a really interesting idea, accountability. The awareness that your actions are, in a sense, being observed fosters this deep feeling of integrity. It's not just about doing the right thing when people are watching. It's about building a consistently ethical character and a real sense of duty to care for those around you. All right, next section. Now we're going to step back even further and look at the global picture. Because these attributes, they're not just for one group of people. They can actually act as a bridge, connecting different cultures and worlds. And just look at the values at the heart of this. Mercy, justice, wisdom, forgiveness, patience. These aren't exclusive to any single tradition, are they? They're shared human values, respected and admired all over the globe. And that creates such a powerful point of connection for every single one of us. So, and this is the crucial part, by focusing on this common ground, we build a foundation for real, meaningful dialogue. This isn't just about feeling good or being nice. This is about creating the kind of understanding we need to team up and tackle huge global challenges like poverty and injustice. And this really gets to the core of it all. See, it's one thing to understand these ideas in your head, to learn the concepts, but the real transformation, the game changer, is when we move from theory to practice, when we actively start embodying these qualities in our day-to-day lives. Which brings us perfectly to our final section, embracing the journey. This is all about making it real. So the big question is, how do you actually take that first step? Well, the source material lays out a pretty simple three-part approach. First, just set aside some time for regular reflection. Second, focus on small daily acts. We're not talking about grand heroic gestures here. It could be a simple moment of kindness or choosing to forgive someone instead of holding a grudge. Those small acts have a huge ripple effect. And third, get involved in your community in ways that promote justice and well-being. And for anyone looking for a concrete example, the life of the Prophet Muhammad is often held up as a practical model.
His actions are studied as a real-world demonstration of how to apply these principles, mercy, justice, wisdom, in tangible, everyday situations.
And that brings us full circle, doesn't it? It all begins with that personal transformation. As each one of us grows, we contribute to the collective good. That's how we build a more harmonious, a more just, and a more prosperous society, one person and one small act of goodness at a time. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. After exploring this entire blueprint for a better life, just take a moment. Which one of these qualities, mercy, patience, justice, forgiveness, which one will you choose to reflect in your actions today?